I restarted off just by drawn towards the sound of an acoustic guitar, and I could just sort of visualize or hear like the sound of someone finger picking. And that kind of image got me going to like, oh, I want to take some guitar lessons. And again, like music impoverished, I didn't know anybody who played guitar. So took some guitar lessons and then make a long story short, after a little while, I didn't really learn a lot about music. I just learned how to read the notes. I was like, oh, you missed a note. And then that kind of thing. But anyways, and then subsequently, I started teaching at the studio and teaching. And then I had some friends and we were listening to music. We got a little band together and did a couple of performances. And of course, it was so exciting. It was so much fun to be part of that. I mean, I loved music, and then, to be able to play and the excitement of also trying to write your own songs and perform them. Once you get that, you kind of become a bit hooked into that. And then it was always a dream, well, be able to do that. And if I could travel, record, that would be kind of a dream. I think it's partly that you have to have your ears and mind open to situations. By doing that, the situations have come my way. Like one of the first people I met was a woman named Farron, who just when we were both still teenagers in Richmond, and she was, later on became kind of a well-known folk poet. But so I did some playing with her, and then I ended up through a bass player in there who was teaching at UBC. He introduced me to a guy that was sort of doing really unusual, I guess, sort of talking heads, kind of new wave type music. So then I was, got involved in that and really explored like changing the sounds of the guitar through pedals, because the music needed that, So I was really drawn to the inventiveness of this guy's music. It was really exciting. But I always liked country music, and maybe it had to do with growing up. I grew up in Newfoundland up to the age of 6. So I don't know, did I hear like country music in the background? Because I kind of came from a musically impoverished background. There was no talk about music. I didn't hear live music till I was a teenager. It's like, but I did listen to the radio, and I was drawn towards country music. Now, so I remember that group was called Red Herring. That was sort of the new wave group, and then we became the backup band for a woman named Sandy Schofield, and she had a group called the Crimpolines, and they did kind of like, it was sort of a fun group, and they did music with 50s and 60s, and we backed them up. And so I was doing a bit of country stuff like that. And then I met Jimmy Roy at one of those shows. From that, Jimmy Roy ended up getting tendonitis, and so I filled in on the guitar player for a group called the Yodells. And the Yodells was all of these people that were part of that kind of rockabilly root scene. Harold Nix, Howard Ricks, Michael Van Nuys, the list goes on. It was a whole slew of them. So I became kind of right in the middle of that band. I had actually heard that group, and I thought, wow, this group is amazing, called the Yodells, doing this Western swing, which I wasn't even really aware of Western swing. I always thought there was like jazz music and there was country music, and actually I sort of enjoyed just on my own trying to find a way of mixing sort of jazz and country together. And then only later, through the Yodells, and ended up playing with a guy called Ray Kondo. And Ray Kondo was a really kind of unique character, came from a punk background, and yet he mixed punk with, Billie Holiday meets, Hank Williams kind of thing. And as we toured around then down the States, we got introduced to Western swing. It's like, well, I didn't know that Western swing had already taken, sort of jazz and country, mixed it together, and had taken the swing songs of the 30s, but we were kind of playing with steel guitars and fiddles and electric guitars. I guess I have a belief that you can always learn something from whatever situation you're playing in. You always are developing things, and so every time you got the opportunity to play, it's great, and you can experiment on little things that you're introducing. I like to learn about different styles, but then ultimately I kind of find that I kind of start twisting those things into kind of what I'm attracted to, and I guess that's how you kind of create your own style. So I'm always sort of doing that, and I've tended to move towards people who are doing something original, something of their own in general. So I like to feel I can bring some of these influences into that music. You're also right that if you spend too much time doing other projects, that it doesn't give time for yourself, and trying to strike a balance. I'd like to get back to recording my second album this year now. Yeah, you can't end up being too busy with other things. You got to give yourself time for that. I think of myself almost more of a sonic player than, say, maybe just a soloist. I mean, I know some people just are whizzes and go up and down playing a million miles an hour. It's very impressive. I think of myself as more a sonic, more of like a painter, painting these colors. And when I listen to a song, I'm thinking like, well, what does it need? Kind of like, or what's it yearning for? What is there? A certain color, a certain thing that can help spark it or take it in a certain direction, and that's always exciting, to do that. So when it comes into the studio, it's the same thing, or working with a group. How can you fit these things together? And doing my own thing gives me a chance to explore that a little bit more.